Today I am going to share with you some practical and scientific information about the most important cultivation activity in tea field, that is the harvesting or plucking of tea. Why is it so important of plucking tea in the field? There are several reasons for that. Plucking is the time to get the results of the entire tea cultivation process. Do you know that about 35% of the total production cost of a field is spent for plucking? Not only that, about 70% of the workers working in tea fields have to be deployed for plucking. At present, most of tea lands in Sri Lanka are harvested manually. That is why our tea fetches a high price in the world market. The number of workers required for harvesting tea leaves varies with the productivity of the land. Generally, for a field with 1 hectare, 10 to 12 workers or 4 to 5 workers per acre are needed for harvesting. The need for these workers can be reduced if harvesting is done with machines. We will discuss about the advantages and the issues, problems of the mechanical harvesting in the next few videos. Today I wish to talk about how best the manual plucking is done. There are 4 main objectives we should aim at when plucking is done. The first objective is to achieve the high productivity of a field. The second objective is to minimize the cost of production as much as possible. We need to take care to keep the quality of the final product at a high level. The last objective is to maintain the health of the tea bush and its vigor. All the activities we carry out during plucking should be planned in such a way that these 4 objectives are fulfilled. There are basic things we need to know in normal plucking operations or the scientific tea harvesting. If we know these things properly, we will be able to plan and carry out plucking activities in a way that it suits each and every situation. As I mentioned, today I hope to discuss about the facts and problems that we have to face in practicing the proper manual harvesting. Later we will discuss the other basic scientific matters related to the other cultivation practices. If we go to a tea field, we mostly see groups of pluckers harvesting tea. That is why we think that more responsibilities are assigned to these tea pluckers in the field in case of plucking. That is why very often we try to educate these groups about proper harvesting and other related activities. Yes, it is very good educating these groups as they should pluck tea fields with a good understanding. But there are even more serious responsibilities in the hands of the team who are planning the harvesting. Who is this planning team? That responsibilities are assigned to the officers like assistant superintendent, field officers, or other responsible officer in the field. In the case of smallholdings, the smallholder himself or the supervisor who takes care of the land does it. The supervisor is responsible for deploying the required gang of workers for plucking at the correct time or on the correct day. He or she needs to have the correct knowledge to deploy workers for harvesting on a day when there are enough good shoots to harvest, to maintain a high productivity, to reduce the cost of production while maintaining the bush health and the vigor. Now let us see what are the factors that affect the plucking rounds in the field. There are some technical terms such as standard of leaves, the intensity of plucking, inactive shoots that we use when plucking is being done in the field. We will discuss all about them later. Today I would like to discuss only one technical matter related to plucking here in this video. The most important point in the practice is that selecting the plucking time, which is called the plucking round technically. What is a plucking round? A plucking round is the time it takes for the majority of the remaining leaves to become ready to harvest again after one or few generations of shoots have been harvested. The time taken for the remaining shoots on the plucking table to become ready for harvesting again. That is the plucking round. There are many factors affecting the plucking round. Climatic conditions, moisture conditions of the soil, year of pruning cycle, age of the field, nutrient status of the soil, whether the field is seedling tea or the VPT, type of clones, the method of plucking adapted. Many things like this affect the plucking round. That is why it is very difficult to decide in advance that the plucking round has a certain number of days. The only way to determine the plucking round is to inspect the field. However, we have a rough idea whether the plucking round is 5, 6 or 7 days. But to decide exactly, you should go to the field about 5 days after plucking and see if it is suitable for harvesting shoots again. The most important things to remember here is that if the majority of the remaining shoots have become suitable for harvesting, pluckers should be deployed to harvest the leaves on the same or the next day. Most of the time, many people harvest shoots in their field every 7 or 10 days and keep a permanent plucking round. But it is not the correct way. As I said before, the plucking round should be determined correctly only after inspecting the field. The number of days between two harvesting, which is the most people generally use, does not correspond to the correct plucking round or the biological or natural plucking round. Let us see what kind of relationship is there between the mandatory plucking round that we are used to and the natural plucking round. Let us see what happens if the plucking round that we maintain in the field is 7 or 6 days, where the natural plucking round is about 8 days. In a tea field where the plucking round is 8 days, if the shoots are harvested in 6 days, the shoots are not grown enough to be harvested and therefore the weight is very low. And also too many young shoots or arimbos are also being plucked. That means we get a low yield. That is not an ideal situation. When the natural plucking is 5 days, if the shoots are plucked in 7 days, the weight of the shoots harvested is high. However, the percentage of mature shoots is also very high. When these shoots are sent to the factory, the refusable percentage of the final product will also be unacceptably high. That is not a good situation either. The best situation is when the natural plucking round and the adapted plucking rounds are the same number of days. Most of the shoots harvested under these conditions are good and with standard quality. If we can pluck the field exactly according to the natural plucking round, then we can harvest good shoots with an optimum weight. The correct day for plucking should be decided by a person who frequently visits the field. They may be the smallholder or the field supervisor. When he or she takes the right decision and deploy the pluckers on the right day for harvesting, the pluckers will perform their duties correctly. A plucking round is scientifically defined as the number of days between two successive leaf opening of a tea shoot, or the number of days it takes for a new leaf to develop on a shoot. This is also scientifically known as the leaf period or the phyllochron. Generally, the leaf period of common tea clones grown in Sri Lanka is about 5 to 6 days in upcountry areas and 4 to 5 days in low country tea growing areas. You can observe short leaf periods during rainy season and the long leaf periods during dry season. For example, in low country areas, the leaf period may be as high as 8 days during dry periods. Considering all these facts, if we can pluck a tea field on the same number of days as the leaf period of the tea bush, it is the most appropriate day for harvesting the tea field. We will be able to harvest the maximum number of standard shoots when we harvest on the exactly on the leaf period. You will also notice that maintaining a plucking round like this is very good for the growth and the sustainability of tea bushes. I thank you for watching my video. If you feel that this information are useful to you, please continue watching this series of videos. I will meet you again with more scientific information about tea harvesting and also the scientific aspects of the other cultivation practices in tea field. Until then, have a nice day.